You're just delaying the problem until they get back out and they're using drugs again.
Right. The problem is still going to be there. The problem is still going to be there when they come out of jail.
Right.
And they still haven't gotten any treatment.
The 2 years is going to be up.
They may have gotten a little bit more education.
And they've been incarcerated, they've been exposed to other prisoners, and employers are not going to be willing, maybe college is now down the drain. I think the DA has to be willing to look at those cases. And as I said before, the DA's real power is on the discretion not to charge.
Right.
The DA can choose not to charge a school zone. Some DAs won't do that. Some DAs will refuse to break down a school zone. And I think that's a mistake. If I'm district attorney, I'm going to be willing to break down, in appropriate circumstances, a school zone. And you say to the person, look, you're going to have a conviction. You committed a drug offense, but we're going to convict you of the drug offense, not the school zone. We're going to put you on probation. We're going to make you get treatment. We're going to subject you to random urine screens. You're going to have to prove to us that you're not on drugs.
Can you also at that point say, and if you screw up on this alternative that we're giving you, we still retain the option to charge you and indict them? Can you do that?
Well, you can give them a suspended sentence to the House of Corrections, which has a committed portion of the sentence, and it's suspended. They'll be on probation. It's hanging over their head. If they violate probation, then they have to go serve that sentence.
Okay, so that's the alternative that would make sense in order to obtain treatment for the individual, as opposed to just the mandatory jail time, which more than likely is not going to help in reducing any recidivism.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about if you're a repeat drug offender, or if you are a high-level, large-scale drug trafficker. Absolutely, we're not talking about that.
We're not talking about. We're talking about small, individualized drug abuse.
Or low-level drug offenders,
low-level.
Or first-time offenders, people like that. Yeah. If you do it again, okay, you had your break.
Yeah.
But you know, in the last election, Massachusetts voters voted overwhelmingly to decriminalize marijuana.
65% in Stoughton.
And you know, one of my opponents, his reaction to that was to make marijuana offenses, to propose legislation to making marijuana offenses dramatically more serious. So what is right now a low-level marijuana offense, he wants to elevate to the worst. The murder of drug charges is called trafficking. Drug trafficking is the worst drug offense you can have. Those people need to go to prison. That's a Superior Court case that needs to be indicted, and drug traffickers need to go to prison. But what my opponent has done is proposed taking the amount that's required for drug trafficking and reducing it down to what is now a low-level marijuana offense. Right now, to be a drug trafficker on marijuana in Massachusetts, it's 50 pounds. That's a lot.
50 pounds?
Well, let me give you an example. The feds...
Distribution is over an ounce. Is that... Distribution is over an ounce?
It depends. Distribution can be one joint. If you give it to somebody else, that's distribution. So the bigger the amount, the easier it is to show that they had an intent to distribute that. Because if it's just for personal use, that's not distribution. But 50 pounds is a lot. But that's why trafficking is the murder of drug crimes. It's supposed to be the most serious. The feds, for example, they don't mess around with drugs, the federal government. And to get a 5-year prison sentence under the federal statute, you need 220 pounds of marijuana, 100 kilograms. That's trafficking. It's a terrible crime. In Massachusetts, it's 50 pounds. My opponent wants to reduce it down to 1 pound. 1 pound, it's a serious offense. They need to be prosecuted. That's serious. But to take what is now a low-level marijuana offense and make that into a Superior Court mandatory minimum incarceration offense, that's using up our prosecution resources on a problem that we can attack differently. We should be using our prosecution resources, our courtroom time, on attacking victim crimes and not looking at drug offenses where the person is amenable to treatment or can be given a sentence in district court. Let's not make the murder of drug crimes the low-level drug offense. So that's a difference.
One of the things that's, there's always been an idea that if you have enough jail space, that works as a deterrent. What's your take on jail space? Do we have enough jail space? I mean, you're coming from a prosecutor's office. Do you have pressure on you? Well, you know, we only have 4 spots left here, and we only have 3 spots left here. And I mean, do you have any handle on that?
Yeah, well, you know, absolutely. There's a daily meeting in the courthouse in Middlesex County about who should we let out of jail because it's overcrowded.
Yeah.
So, you know, I used to do those meetings as a prosecutor. It rotates. So every day they have to sit down with a list of these are the people in the jail. Who are we going to let go because we don't have any more space? So that's a problem. And, you know, you try, and the reason there's a prosecutor at that meeting is if it involves a victim, no, we got to hold on to those people. We can't let them go. So you're right. People get let out because of overcrowding. Yeah. It's a problem.
Is there anything in the works for building more space that you know of?
You know, I don't know. That's not.
Would have been a good use of stimulus money. Would have put some people to work.
That could be. That's not my decision. That's not the DA's decision. The DA.
Yeah, that's.
The DA just needs to push for incarceration for the people who need it. And then you got to.
Yeah, but if there isn't any space, I mean, you know, or they're going to be letting out early, or.
They'll have to make do. They'll have to find space. They'll have to double up.
They are very much on.
Prisoners.
Yeah. So it is your feeling though that some alternative programs can work better than jail time. Some not.
Right. Well, like I'm talking about for the school zones, a kid who is making a mistake and getting involved with drugs, in some towns, the whole town is a school zone. If you're within 1,000 feet of a school or a lesser distance from parks and playgrounds, that's a school zone. Some towns, the whole town is a school zone. Yeah, so a kid who makes a mistake getting involved with drugs, that kid doesn't necessarily benefit from 2 years in jail, and he's not going to come out better able to deal with the drug problem. So yeah, for some people they need, you know, for some juveniles, they don't even need to be charged for some crimes. They should be programs that they can go and do and avoid being charged. You know, do community service, get counseling, show us that you know you made a mistake, and we can protect your record. So yeah, there needs to be diversion programs instead of prosecution for some kids.
We had a number of, on a show that I work on yesterday, we had on 2 of the police officers in Stoughton and 1 of the probation officers who had, actually that show is immediately following this one on airing. They brought a bunch of drug paraphernalia, but one of the couple of things that came out of that show regarding, you know, juvenile drug usage is a lot of times when they will find or visit a family for a particular offense with drugs or you know, low-level drug use or whatever, they'll find that when they are able to do that, they find a different situation that they weren't expecting. They'll find other things that are going on in the home or whatever, and so and I think we do in Stoughton. I think we do a very good job with the programs that we have in place. We have a very extensive program run by the Stoughton Youth Commission called Oasis, which is a combination of the school personnel and the Youth Commission personnel and trained persons, and the police department and the probation, all working together for.
Right. You know, in Middlesex County, that's institutionalized in all the courts and all the schools. It's called community-based justice. And there's a monthly meeting at every single high school in Middlesex County, at least monthly, sometimes it's more often, involving someone from the DA's office, somebody from probation, somebody from the school, and sometimes somebody from DCF. And they sit down and talk about kids who are at risk, because those people are at the table and they know about kids who need a little extra attention. And we're not talking about you know, identifying kids to really hammer with a prosecution. We're talking about kids sometimes who need a break.